Live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., this is the RCWR Show with your host, Lee Sanders.
Covering weekly fallout from WWE Monday Night Raw as seen on the USA Network, you're listening to the RCWR Show exclusive for YouTube. I am your host, as always, the Black Avenger, aka the Black Azrael, Lee Sanders. It was the final episode of Raw tonight before the Royal Rumble pay-per-view, which you'll be able to see live in the comfort of your own home on pay-per-view. Lot was going into this episode, as really there was not that much of a hard sell to make the viewers want to hit that order button to check out this historical pay-per-view where you know what's at stake right here. Of course, we have that Royal Rumble match where whoever wins that has a golden ticket straight to facing the respected WWE or World Heavyweight Champion at WrestleMania. And the odds of that person that wins that Royal Rumble to become the new champion, odds are very high in their favor. Thank you all for checking out tonight's episode on January 21st, 2013. I hope all of you had a fantastic weekend. I hope you are ready for the Pro Bowl and the Super Bowl that's going to be coming up in the next 2 weeks. Looks like we're going to have one in-your-face type of Super Bowl that's going to be coming, as it's now been decided. It's going to be the Baltimore Ravens taking on the San Francisco 49ers for that Lombardi Trophy. All right, so Raw tonight came from San Jose, California, and it had kicked off with the WWE Raw Acting Supervising Manager, Vickie Guerrero, or as The Rock had described her last week, biatch, you look horrible tonight. She was alongside CM Punk's personal advisor, friend, advocate, interpretator, Paul Heyman. Vickie Guerrero, Paul Heyman, both of these two still reeling from that Rock concert last week where The Rock had defamed their characters. One hell of a job he did, too, at that. We saw Vickie Guerrero. You knew it was going to happen. You knew she was going to offer some type of a counter to what all he had said last week. And counter did she do, as she had banned The Rock from appearing in the ring, as she had got word that the police had intercepted him just as he arrived to the arena. Vickie Guerrero letting it be known that if The Rock even tries to come closer into the arena, if he even tries to make the effort to go to the ring, police officers have been instructed to arrest him on the spot and take him to jail. Now, we actually saw The Rock talk to 3 police officers, trying to convince them that they do not work for Vickie Guerrero. They actually work for the people. It's the people that they serve and that they need to do the right thing and allow him access into the building. But again, they were under strict orders from Vickie Guerrero and their superior officers. They were not budging with this one. We also had the Beat the Clock Challenge matches tonight, where the winner got to pick their entry into the Royal Rumble. But there was a twist with that. Let's talk about the first Beat the Clock Challenge match that we had, as we saw Randy Orton defeat Antonio Cesaro. 5-star quality type of match right here. No doubt one of the best matches of the whole night, as we had got a total of 6 matches. Again, this one was the best of the night. Randy Orton defeated Antonio Cesaro at 11 minutes, 36 seconds to set the tone. Following up from that, we saw a Beat the Clock challenge as Miz had took on Dolph Ziggler. This was another one right here where what really played a main factor in this match was Big E Langston and AJ Lee, and you knew that they were going to play a very serious role in this, as they were trying to do everything that they could to help Dolph Ziggler advance into the Royal Rumble, and that is exactly what Dolph Ziggler had did, as he defeated Miz at the 10-minute 56 mark. 10-minute 56 seconds mark to set a new record and be the new time holder. That is the new time to beat. Stepping up to that plate to try to beat that time, it would be none other than Sheamus taking on Wade Barrett. Now, unfortunately, this match had ended in a draw, as we had saw AJ, Dolph Ziggler, Big E Langston all come at ringside trying to distract the participants and the referee. We actually saw AJ get inside the ring, actually get in the face of Sheamus. This was just enough time that was needed, as it was down to the last 17 seconds. And it was really looking as though Sheamus was going to have this in the book and be the one to advance. But time had expired, unfortunately, as Dolph Ziggler was the one, folks, who was able to win that coveted spot in selecting what entry he will be in this year's Royal Rumble. But, folks, we shall let you know there was a twist to this, as Dolph Ziggler had went to the backstage area to let Vickie Guerrero know what number he was going to be coming out as. Vickie Guerrero would inform him that he does get the right to choose what entry he will be coming out. However, it's a number or two that she will be presenting to him, as he will not be afforded the opportunity to pick any number. And folks, the numbers that Vickie Guerrero presented to Dolph Ziggler was either the number 1 or number 2 entry. Dolph Ziggler has a lot to think about. Hopefully he will have his answer made up come Friday Night SmackDown. But for now, he has a tough road ahead of him if he is even going to try to become the Royal Rumble winner. He's going to have to do it literally from the very beginning. Other matches that we had saw was Big Show taking on Zack Ryder, a match which ended in at least 70 seconds, as Big Show had went for the WMD. He also had told Alberto Del Rio that that would be the same fate that he would meet come this Sunday. As folks, it was revealed in a WWE Raw Active, and you can only access that if you happen to have your iPad devices to be able to always stay in the loop of what all is happening in between commercial breaks. Booker T had granted Big Show this type of match to face Alberto Del Rio at the Royal Rumble. It's another last man standing match. That's right, folks. Can lightning strike twice for Alberto Del Rio? Can he beat Big Show yet again? Or will the Big Show come right back to prove that Alberto's win was nothing more than a fluke? Very interesting development right here. But again, Alberto Del Rio, Big Show will be going head-to-head for that World Heavyweight Championship, contested in a last man standing match. Other action, we saw Ryback take on Heath Slater. He actually defeated him too. Ryback, though, post-match, he cut one very interesting promo. Ryback had this to say afterwards. He said that this Sunday will be his first Royal Rumble match, and that it's a match that he will thrive on, as it will lead him to be the main event at WrestleMania, before saying his trademark catchphrases, "Feed me more, feed me more, feed me more." Love that Ryback. Or as those of you on the Facebook and Twitter community are now dubbing him, Rye Black and Choco. Correction, I've got my guys mixed up. Please forgive me. I got my guy mixed up with Big E Langston. I thought it was so funny that you all are now calling him Rye Black and Choco Lesnar. Hilarious stuff right there. Ryback is good. All we keep hearing is the Goldberg chants, but hey, it is what it is. But Ryback, always surprising when he says a little bit more on the microphone. I wouldn't mind actually hearing him talk a little bit more rather than just say those few lines that kind of make him sound like the Incredible Hulk. Hulk smash. Betty? Hulk smash. Oh, Betty. You know, that silly stuff. But anyway, folks, I'm getting sidetracked. Let's talk about one of the silliest segments that had happened on Raw tonight. It was dubbed as overselling, or maybe you could kind of take at what the crowd was saying. I believe they were saying over Shelby. I think that was their nice little way of saying overselling. We saw the segment between Kane and Daniel Bryan with Dr. Shelby as it was graduation day from anger management, as Kane and Daniel Bryan were dressed in their graduating uniforms with hats, the whole 9 yards. Dr. Shelby giving them their diplomas, congratulating them, and also trying to determine who was going to be the valedictorian to offer a speech. It was something which he presented to Kane and Daniel Bryan to decide amongst themselves. However, both men were not able to decide. And we saw Dr. Shelby step in to say, you know what, why not just do a big old hug out? Everybody all over the world just hug each other. And we actually saw Kane and Daniel Bryan try to work up the crowd, even suggesting that the fans in attendance hug, Michael Cole, Jerry Lawler hug, Justin Roberts and a crew member hug. Was some really silly stuff right here. I was just literally begging at the TV to bring out Cody Rhodes and Damian Sandow to really help save this segment, as I felt it was too drawn out. But unfortunately, we did not see Team Rhodes Scholars for reasons unknown. But this segment was what it was. Definitely one of the most weakest segments of the night, I feel, as it just went a little bit too far in overtime. Of course, we had saw the Brad Maddox experience with his cameramen following him around as he had talked very briefly with Paul Heyman backstage. Brad Maddox telling Paul Heyman that, like Heyman, he too knows what it's like to really try to get into the business and stand your ground, and he can appreciate where Paul Heyman has been. We see Paul Heyman, he actually looks at Brad Maddox and tells him, you know, stick with me, kid. I'm going to take you to the top. I'm going to make you famous. Couldn't help but key in on those words right there. Gonna make you famous. Kind of reminds me of something that Diamond Dallas Page used to say right there. Don't really read in between those lines. I'm not saying DDP's involved in this in any type of way. I just thought it was a little bit funny that Paul Heyman had said that. Of course, we had saw a very interesting moment from the People's Champion, The Rock, who continued to wait backstage, trying to convince the police officers to allow him access to the ring. One of the police officers had informed the People's Champion that he isn't even supposed to be on duty tonight, that he's actually supposed to be with his family, who's in attendance at tonight's event, as they have ringside tickets. And The Rock tells the officer that they need to talk because he has a plan he'd like to put in motion. We saw Vickie Guerrero inject herself into the conversation. Don't think she had caught what all The Rock was saying, as she had told him how CM Punk was going to be making his way out next to sarcastically address the people, and that if The Rock wanted to be in that ring, to be face-to-face with the WWE champion, then all he had to do was apologize to her. The Rock decided to not go that way, as he told her she is still a biatch and that she is still horrible looking tonight. That just had her seeing red and had her immediately running off. And where from there, we saw The Rock get a huddle with those police officers as he spoke more about the plan that he has, that he wants to put in motion. And speaking of the WWE champion CM Punk, we saw him really cut one fantastic promo, probably one of the best promos of this entire night. As CM Punk had talked about how for 428 days, he's proven that he's the man, as he's worked half his life to obtain the prestigious WWE title, as he is determined to not allow The Rock, or any man for that matter, take it away from him. Punk then tells The Rock how he realized a long time ago that the people aren't what matter, but it's the WWE title that mattered to him the most. Punk would then go on to tell the WWE Universe that they can call The Rock their people's champion, their great one, their Brahma Bull. But there is one slogan, one title, folks, that he will never be able to lay claim to, and that is WWE Champion. As Punk says, he's earned the right to be the man. And he continues to tell him to enjoy his entertainment of the crowd for the next 6 days, as it will all come crashing to an abrupt end when he defeats him this Sunday to still remain your WWE champion. CM Punk really stirring the pot for this match that's going to be coming up this Sunday. Truly, truly one of the best promos I have seen CM Punk cut in a good while. I actually enjoyed this promo more than what he had did last week. You want to talk about putting asses to the seats, building up that anticipation, getting that hype for those fans to really get into this bout right here. CM Punk did just that. Now, of course, we would see Paul Heyman come out later in the night, as he felt that some of the words that CM Punk said, as you know, he has that extensive vocabulary, as he knows how to eloquently look at me stumbling over here, put those big words out there for people that might not understand what the hell he's talking about. So Paul Heyman actually tried to talk to the lower intellect in a way where he knew for sure they would understand what was being said earlier. And we actually saw The Rock come out, and it turns out the Great One had a ticket from that police officer who he was talking to earlier. Notice the little fuck up that they had right here. I'm not really one that likes to point out the obvious, but you know, I really couldn't help but just kick back. And I was watching this with my girlfriend. I'm saying, I'm actually yelling at the TV. I'm saying, are you serious? How are they going to explain this ticket that he has that basically gives him the right to be in the arena? This doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Yeah, my girlfriend was telling me, well, you know, he's The Rock. He can do whatever. Come on, he's not going to get arrested. I said, no, if there is any type of sanity in what we're seeing right now, surely there's going to be some type of a appearance from the police officers with Vickie Guerrero that's going to want to try to arrest this man right after he gets done saying whatever it is that he's saying. Now, we did not see that, but let me just go on record and say we did see some pretty hilarious stuff, as we saw The Rock tell Paul Heyman, who was trying to say something to him, but the People's Champion, he cut him off. He told him to shut up and take his Twinkie tits out of the ring before he was going to seriously hurt him. We would then see The Rock cut his attention to the WWE champion, who was conveniently inside of a skybox that was purchased by Paul Heyman for him to enjoy, as Heyman was supposed to deliver a bit of a Paul Heyman pipe bomb, if you will, but it obviously backfired with The Rock coming out. Rock telling CM Punk that no doubt for the 428 days that he has been the WWE champion, he has truly earned that title of being the best in the world. But
The Rock tells CM Punk to make no mistake about it, that when it comes to this Sunday, The Rock will become the WWE champion. And he began to cite some of the words from Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech, as he says it's been a long time, 10 long years, since he has held the WWE title, and that everything that he has done up to this point, everything will go down on one night and one night alone, where he will get back that WWE title, and then finally, the people will be able to all say in agreement, free at last, thank God Almighty, free at last from the grips of CM Punk. And in just like true Rocky fashion, we see The Rock cut his If You Smell promo, climb up to the top corner, throw his fist up in the air, and the lights go out. It is pitch black for at least 10 seconds. When the lights resume, we see the Shields, Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns attacking the People's Champion. Now, we did see The Rock try to make a little bit of a comeback, but it was unsuccessful as the Shield continued to beat him down. And folks, just how they did Ryback, Randy Orton, Sheamus, Kane, Daniel Bryan, they too delivered a triple powerbomb to Dwayne The Rock Johnson to leave him laid out as they made their exit from the ring. We then saw CM Punk with a microphone holding his title held up high, telling the People's Champion that yes, you may be on that mountaintop come this Sunday, Rock, but what you need to understand is that there's only room for one man at that mountaintop, and it is going to be me. This would have some serious repercussions later on in the night, folks, as WWE Chairman Vince McMahon bumped into CM Punk and Paul Heyman just as they were making their way out of the arena. Vince McMahon informed them that if the Shield tried to interfere in this match in any type of way, that there would be serious repercussions. And folks, those repercussions would be Vince McMahon stripping CM Punk of the WWE title. So when it's all said and done, folks, with this specific match for the WWE title, it is going to be a straight up one-on-one, no interference type of match. CM Punk is really going to have to dig down deep and truly pull an upset, as he is really being looked at as the underdog right now going into this match. Great setup for the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. Makes that casual wrestling fan, that hardcore Royal Rumble wrestling fan, even more inclined to want to check out this pay-per-view to see specifically what's going to happen with this match. Other action we saw tonight was Caitlyn picking up a victory over Alicia Fox, as Tamina had looked on in the backstage area. Slight suggestions that we are seeing right here, as we are getting hints that we could be seeing Tamina lock it up with Caitlyn at a future pay-per-view. And folks, that was pretty much it for WWE Raw, with the exception of John Cena coming out, spitting hot game for about 10 minutes, talking about how he is going to be the one to win this year's Royal Rumble, before the entire WWE locker room came out. And folks, we had got a early preview of things to come at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. Also announced tonight, and it was long overdue for some of you that know your wrestling from back in the heyday, we saw the next inductee into the 2013 WWE Hall of Fame, and it is none other than the two-time WWE champion, Mr. Bob Backlund. Let's not forget, folks, Bob Backlund, he had held that WWE title for 6 years there, the second best record other than the record set by Bruno Sammartino there. Truly a high honor right here. About damn time that Bob Backlund got his just due. And the way things are looking right now, as we continue to hear the rumblings of WWE trying to reach out to Bruno Sammartino to be inducted into this year's Hall of Fame, doesn't quite look as though it's going to be happening. So looks like the main attraction of the night is a bit of a coin flip. It's going to be between Bob Backlund and the hardcore legend himself, Mick Foley, who was announced as the first inductee last week. Overall, with regards to tonight's episode of Raw, I really felt as though the main hype for tonight's episode was, once again, CM Punk, The Rock. There was really nothing else you could take away from this episode. I mean, they didn't even try to sell this Royal Rumble pay-per-view. I mean, we saw no video packages of what matches we can expect, nothing of that nature. It was just pretty much, you had to kind of force yourself to remember what all was going to be happening at the Royal Rumble this Sunday. And so far, as of 11:37 p.m. on January 21st, 2013 on the East Coast here, we only have 4 matches right now that is going to be taking place at the pay-per-view. Mind you, we will most likely get some type of a special match for the YouTube pre-show, but right now, this is what we have. It goes as follows. We have Team Hell Knows, Kane and Daniel Bryan taking on Rhodes Scholars, Damian Sandow and Cody Rhodes for the Tag Team Championships. We have Alberto Del Rio taking on Big Show, singles match, World Heavyweight Championship contested in a last man standing match. CM Punk will be taking on The Rock for the WWE Championship. And the 2013 Royal Rumble match where the winner receives his choice of a WWE Championship or World Heavyweight Championship match at WrestleMania 29. And you know, a lot of time is going to need to go into that Royal Rumble, of course. Who is going to possibly win this year's Royal Rumble? Well, that is an entire different discussion that's going to be covered this Saturday on the RCWR Show. Make sure you check that out because it's going to be a very special edition episode. You know how we do it over here when it comes to those Call That Match specials. Nobody loves to offer match predictions for the respective pay-per-view than yours truly. Join me this Saturday at www.blogtalkradio.com/the RCWR Show at 2 p.m. Eastern this Saturday for the RCWR Show Call That Match special, where I'll offer match predictions for Sunday's Royal Rumble pay-per-view. It's going to be one like no other. I'm going to really give you my honest takeaway for all the respected winners for this pay-per-view. Most importantly, what needs to happen going forward to try to set up Elimination Chamber, as after that, folks, all eyes is going to be set on WrestleMania. Now, for those of you that are wondering, we will be doing a Tuesday night wrestling report edition of the RCWR Show, where finally we return home at our Tuesday night 11 p.m. slot. First time in a couple of weeks. Make sure that you join us. It's going to be tomorrow, or it's going to be in a couple of hours, rather, January 22nd at 11 p.m. Join us. We'll cover the very latest in wrestling-related news, and we'll also go more in depth about key points that we saw from WWE Raw. We'll go into more depth about CM Punk and The Rock. Should there be a rematch come the Elimination Chamber? I'll offer my insight on that. Regardless of who walks away as the winner, should there be a rematch? We'll go into a bit more in depth about that. We'll also go more in depth about the Shield getting that beatdown in on the People's Champion, The Rock. We'll go more in depth and talk about that. You know, what can we take away from that? As WWE, they've already given that seal of approval for the Shield. But to have these 3 young men work with one of the top draws, probably in WWE history, aside from Stone Cold Steve Austin, What does the future have to hold for the Shields? Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns. We'll go into some great discussion about that. And also for you sports fans, especially you football fans, we're going to go in depth and talk about what's been going on with Baltimore Ravens Ray Lewis. And we'll also talk about San Francisco 49ers Michael Crabtree. As we saw, quite a number of you were very upset that these teams are going to be meeting in the Super Bowl. Some of you were very passionate in pointing out that it was just a handful of years ago that we had saw the one and only Ray Lewis get involved in that whole murder. Of course, he was acquitted, but many of you still have that lingering on in your mind. Y'all are also very concerned about what was going on with Michael Crabtree there, as he was accused of raping a woman. We will go into great talk about that and put the question out there if the media is glorifying these guys a bit too much given their checkered past. We'll have the chat room be open. Twitter will be active as well, as we want to hear from you all. Share your reactions with us. And if you're checking this out right now, feel free to leave the comments down below and we'll share them live on the air this Tuesday night. That's going to do it, folks. Really hope you enjoyed this special edition episode of the RCWR Show, YouTube exclusive, covering the fallout from tonight's WWE Monday Night Raw as seen on the USA Network. We'll be coming back with a special episode for you guys next week, as we'll be making another rare Monday night appearance. You'll be able to catch that at 11 p.m. Eastern at blogtalkradio.com. If you enjoyed our coverage tonight, be sure to leave those comments down below. Ditto if you had saw tonight's episode of Raw. Want to hear what was your favorite high points and low points. And if you enjoyed our coverage, be sure to go that extra mile and hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on all the great content that we put up on a weekly basis. You all be safe and be kind to one another, folks. Black Avenger, a.k.a. the Black Azrael, Lee Sanders, signing off. Take care, everybody.